Well, Stan, this has been an interesting project, hasn't it?
Sure has. We've met some really interesting people, and I've learned a lot about the Messiah.
Okay, so let's review the information we've gathered so far. First, we met John the Baptist, who was sent to prepare the way for the Messiah.
But he wasn't called at all certain that Jesus really is the Messiah, because he doesn't really fit the profile.
That seems like a pretty popular sentiment. A lot of people don't think Jesus is the Messiah because he's not what they expected the Messiah to be like.
That was certainly the perspective of a man I met in Nazareth named Zev. He watched Jesus grow up and doesn't think he's all that special.
But isn't that how most of us are treated by the people we knew way back when?
I suppose so. When we go back home, I'm never recognized for the Docky Awards I've won. I'm still known as Stinky Stanley the Funky Monkey. Thanks for bringing that up to the kids, by the way.
I'm sorry about that, Stan. You know, sometimes we have to sacrifice our dignity for our craft.
You mean my dignity?
You took one for the team. Thanks for that. Anyway, so when you went to Nazareth, I went to the temple and spoke with a temple priest, and he was adamant that Jesus was not the Messiah. He insisted that Jesus doesn't match any of the criteria.
Interesting, because then I spoke with other people who are certain that Jesus is the Messiah. Like a Samaritan woman Jesus met by a well.
A Samaritan? That's interesting. Most people would disqualify her opinion since she's both a woman and a Samaritan.
That's just what happened. Zev treated her with utter contempt. Didn't respect her at all.
And I'm afraid not many people would respect the words of the children we met last week.
Well, like that woman named Adina, she thought we were crazy for listening to kids about something so important.
Well, she was a little crazy herself.
True.
And you know, I also met a woman named Martha who was certain that Jesus was the Messiah. You'll never guess what makes her so certain.
Oh, you know how I love guessing games. Let me think. She saw Jesus commissioning fabulous uniforms for the army.
No.
Okay. Jesus shook her hand with the secret Messiah handshake.
Seriously.
Jesus and his disciples did such a well-choreographed dance number to announce his messiahship that it left no doubt in her mind.
Oh, Stan, can I just tell you?
Oh, I suppose. Tell me.
Jesus raised her brother from the dead.
He what?
Exactly.
I never would have guessed that one.
Nobody would.
Is it really true?
Well, it sounds like there were dozens of witnesses, so it must be true.
Oh, come on. That's impossible.
That's what I would have thought if I had not seen it with my own eyes.
What was that? Were you talking to us?
Yes, sorry, I was eavesdropping. You were talking about Jesus of Nazareth, weren't you?
Well, yes. We're putting together a documentary about him.
Interesting. Would you like to interview one of his disciples?
We'd love to, but they're always on the move. I don't know that we'll catch any of them before our deadline.
Well, lucky for you, you've caught one. That sounds strange. Usually I'm the one doing the catching.
Sorry?
I suppose I should tell you who I am.
Wait, I can guess.
Stan, you're a terrible guesser.
Sure, go ahead.
You seem to know Jesus. You're a very big guy, and you're used to catching things. So either you're a wide receiver for the Jerusalem Jackals, or you're Peter.
Very good.
How did you do that?
I've been paying attention, Sylvia. My name is Stan, by the way. This is my sister, Sylvia. We've been interviewing people to find out whether or not they think Jesus is the Messiah. I know you must be very busy, but would you have a few minutes to talk to us?
Sure. Would you like to sit down?
Thank you, but you know, we don't want to keep you if you need to get back to Jesus and the others.
I'll head back soon. But I needed some time to think first.
Well, think about what?
Oh, everything.
Well, that sounds serious.
Sometimes I just don't know which end is up. I think I've got something figured out, and then everything gets all turned around.
Well, I know what that's like.
Do you? Sometimes I feel so alone, like everybody understands the world but me.
I don't think anybody understands the world. I think they're just good at faking it. I don't trust people who have everything all figured out. I became a filmmaker so I could help others better understand the world.
That's a noble calling.
Well, maybe you can help us to better understand Jesus.
I feel like Jesus is the one person I understand the least right now, but I'll try. As you know, I used to be a fisherman, a very successful one. But one day, Jesus walked by when I was on my boat, and he called me to follow him. Suddenly, I felt my legs carrying my body out of the boat.
How strange.
It was as if my body made the decision to follow Jesus before my brain knew what was happening.
So you just left your old life behind without a second thought?
Pretty much. And my brother Andrew came along too.
Do you ever regret walking away from that fishing boat?
Never. Following Jesus is the best decision I've ever made. I've seen miracles you could never imagine. I've seen people healed. I've seen people's lives changed with a touch or a word. It's all been worth it, even when it's been hard.
So, when was it hard for you?
Lots of time. I'm a fisherman. I'm used to the quiet of the open water, the peacefulness of the boat. But now I'm constantly surrounded with noisy crowds. I don't mind those who want to be near Jesus. I can understand that. But it's tough to deal with people who are unkind to Jesus.
Well, what do you mean?
Many people love Jesus and want to be close to him. But there are others who think he's trouble. They criticize him, they try to entrap him, and they've even threatened him.
Goodness. How does Jesus respond to that?
He's always got a wise response that leaves them speechless, and they walk away puzzled. But lately, it seems like Jesus believes that something bad is going to happen to him. I think his critics are messing with his head.
Well, does he want to run away and hide?
No, quite the opposite. It seems like the more controversy there is around him, the bolder Jesus gets. I respect his courage and the wisdom he shares amid conflict, but sometimes I wish he'd put a higher value on his own safety.
I can understand that.
I mean, any of the 12 of us disciples would give our lives to protect him, but I wish he would not take such risks.
Now, Peter, what about the business of whether or not Jesus is the Messiah? Do you have an opinion?
Actually, that's one of the things I've been sitting here thinking about today. It's a long story.
Well, we have time.
Okay. A little while ago, we were in Caesarea Philippi. It was a rare time when it was just the 13 of us. And Jesus said, "Who do people say that I am?" Several of us jumped up, and what we have heard with John the Baptist, Elijah, one of the prophets. Then Jesus said, "But who do you say that I am?"
Ooh, another guessing game. Does Jesus like guessing games too?
I don't think Jesus meant for them to guess, Stan. Did you feel like it was a trick question?
No, not at all. It felt like the moment I had been waiting for, maybe all my life.
No pressure, man.
I confidently said, "You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God."
And he gave you one of these,
No, quite the opposite, actually. His eyes sparkled, and a smile spread across his whole face. I was right. My whole body tingled with excitement. I hardly even heard what Jesus said. I was basking in the joy of making Jesus so proud of me.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
It was the proudest moment of my life. But then it got a little strange. Jesus smiled, turned to a frown, and he told us very strictly that we shouldn't tell anybody that he was the Messiah.
well, why would he do that?
I really don't know. But he was pretty insistent.
Well, I suppose he probably wouldn't wear a Messiah name tag then.
Excuse me?
I've been saying all this time that this would be so much easier if the Messiah would just wear a name tag.
Your mind works in different ways, doesn't it? Anyway, shortly after I declared that Jesus was the Messiah, Jesus started talking about how he's going to suffer and be killed.
What? He actually said that?
Yes, I was horrified. When Jesus and I had a moment alone, I blurted out, "God forbid it, Lord. This must never happen to you."
Good for you. I would have said the same thing.
But Jesus' face got dark. He looked at me and spat out words that I wish I'd never heard. I'm not sure I can bear to say it.
Oh, please tell us.
He said, "Get behind me, Satan. You're a stumbling block to me." Satan. I'm used to being wrong or foolish, but Satan? He had just told me I was the rock upon whom he would build his church, and now I'm Satan. And I'm getting in his way, and all I want to do is help him? I've never been so hurt.
That must have really stung.
Peter, is that all he said?
No, he also said, "You're setting your minds not on divine things, but on human things."
Well, you're human. What did he expect?
I don't know. I must have really disappointed him somehow, but I just do not understand.
So, is that what you're here thinking about?
Yes, I just needed a little time away to think about myself, to figure out who I am and what I'm supposed to do and be, and to think about Jesus and who he is.
So, do you question whether or not Jesus is the Messiah?
No, yes, I don't know. I thought I knew, but I'm not sure I know anything anymore.
I can relate to that. The more I know, the less I understand.
Yes, it's enough to drive a man crazy. I know that Jesus is special. I know that he's changing the world. But if he doesn't want everybody to know he's a Messiah, can he really be the Messiah? Why would it have to be such a secret? Why would the Messiah talk about being killed? And am I really getting in his way? All I really want to do is help him, but I'm not sure I know how to help anymore.
That's got to be so frustrating.
It's just scary when Jesus talks about dying. He sounds so certain. I'm paralyzed. I cannot imagine what we would do without him.
Don't you ever worry that if they kill Jesus, something will happen to you too?
Oh no, I don't care what happens to me. I die to protect Jesus.
You know, I admire your loyalty to him, but I've learned that we never know what we're going to do in the midst of a crisis. I hope you never experience anything like that.
Me too. Well, Peter, we don't want to keep you from getting back to Jesus, but we appreciate speaking with you. You've been very helpful.
Yes, I probably should be going. Thanks for all that you're doing. I hope your film helps show people who Jesus really is. If you could help clear up my confusion too, that would be great.
You know we'll do our best. Thank you, Peter.
Blessings.
So, what do you think?
You know, I think we've found a fascinating person to profile in our documentary. Whether or not Jesus is the Messiah, he's not interested in being the sort of person or Messiah that everyone expects him to be.
So, do you think he's the Messiah or not?
You know, I think Jesus still has a lot that he wants to do here, and what he ends up doing will help us figure out what his mission is.
You didn't answer the question. Maybe you should be a politician.
I've already got a job, and so do you. We've got a lot of footage to go over here, Stan. I think we'd better get back and start going over it if we want to get the film in time for the Docky Award deadline.
True, but you know I'm not so worried about the Dockies anymore. This project has changed me, changed my priorities. Suddenly, I know there are a lot more important things than winning awards.
Like what?
Truth, compassion, hope. I don't care so much about the glory as I do about telling the story well. I'm much more interested in what Jesus is about than in taking home an award.
So what does that mean? You don't want to finish the film?
I do. But Sylvia, if we take our time to get it right, this film could change lives. So I really want to know Jesus first. I don't want to be another person spreading rumors about Jesus when I haven't spent any time with him myself.
So what do you want to do?
I'd like to catch up with Peter and the others if you don't mind. This project has taught me that it's not enough just to know about Jesus. I really want to know Jesus. I'm sorry to let you down, Sylvia.
Not at all. You know, that might be the most mature decision you've ever made, Stan. I'm with you. The more I've heard, the more I've wondered if Jesus might change our lives like he's changed the lives of others. And if he truly changes lives, then we've got to share his story, his whole story, with the world. This project deserves more time spent with Jesus.
We'd better hurry if we hope to catch them.
Well, wait, what about the camera?
Well, leave it. For once, instead of watching life through a camera lens, let's live it.
You're right. Stan, you know, I'm glad we're doing this together.
Me too. There's nobody else I'd rather share this experience with.